The Killer Auntie. Earle C. Dennison story. Being an aunt should be a great experience in my opinion. I have many nieces and nephews that I love dearly. So why this evil auntie did this is beyond belief, and this was a toddler. This is very sad. This child only wanted to be loved and given love, and was not in this world long enough to even know right from wrong. Now let's begin. Shirley Diane Weldon, then 2 years old, gave her Aunt Earle Dennison a big hug and climbed up on her lap to drink the orange soda that Earle had given her. All this happened on May 1, 1952. Shortly after, Shirley had a bad stomach ache and started throwing up all over her mother. Shirley had another drink from Earle, a nurse with 25 years of experience in the operating room, to help her stomach relax. The toddler was unable to swallow the beverage and experienced vomiting once more. Shirley Diane passed away at the hospital in Wetumpka, Alabama, about 5 hours later, while experiencing violent convulsions and being in apparent pain. Cora Belle Weldon, Shirley's mother, put off sending her daughter to the doctor because she believed the nurse when she said Shirley only had an upset stomach. According to pathologists, the girl's life would not have been saved by taking Shirley to the doctor sooner. For the Weldon family, Shirley's passing represented an almost exact repetition of an earlier tragedy. When Polly Ann, Shirley's older sister, started experiencing severe stomach problems and vomiting after receiving a celebratory ice cream cone from her aunt on the day Shirley was born, Earle was watching Polly, and at that time, Polly Ann passed away at the same hospital where Earle worked and where her mother had just given birth to another healthy baby girl. When Polly Ann passed away, no one suspected foul play. The incident was merely written off as a tragic accident that would always overshadow Shirley's birthday celebrations. Earle, 52, had only become an aunt to the girls through marriage. Because she was legally linked to the Weldon family by her marriage to the late Lem Weldon, Cora Belle's brother, she was actually referred to as an aunt-in-law. After Shirley's passing, Cora Belle and Gaston had suspicions of foul play. In their minds, Earle Dennison was the single constant cause of their daughters' deaths. They demanded an autopsy, which was carried out by state toxicologist Dr. C. J. Relling. Relling inspected the girls' organs while Earle observed the process and discovered resounding evidence that the girl had been poisoned. There are several obvious symptoms left behind by heavy metal poisoning. The body's mucosa had an out-of-the-ordinary vivid crimson hue. The mucosa, a wet tissue, lines the nose, mouth, lungs, and gastrointestinal system, among other body cavities and organs. Aldrich lines had formed on the young girl's fingernails as well. Ms. Relling was instructed by each of these to look for elevated levels of arsenic in the tissues, which he did. Relling also looked at tangible evidence retrieved from the Weldons' residence. Gaston Weldon gathered a number of objects that he believed were related to Shirley's sickness after his wife took her to the hospital. He placed his wife's vomit-covered garment, the child's similarly stained clothes, a towel, and a Coca-Cola bottle in a paper bag. Prior to Shirley's passing, he kept the items at his brother's residence before giving them to the local coroner. Although no one observed Earle wash the Coke bottle or cup, 2 witnesses would later claim to have seen her bring them into the kitchen. However, Cora Belle recalled that Earle had brought the Coke inside from outdoors and had been handing it to Shirley while gently shaking it. According to the police, Earle left the hospital as Shirley was receiving medical attention, stopped at a nearby insurance company, and paid a past due premium on a life insurance policy she had taken out on Shirley. On May 2, 1952, the policy was scheduled to expire for non-payment. Investigators eventually discovered that Earle had insured the young child for $5,500, about $56,228 in 2022 today's money. If thus it were necessary to hunt for a motivation, we would find it here, the Alabama Supreme Court later stated. Earle Dennison was detained on May 8 in connection with the murder of Shirley Weldon. When the sheriff came to arrest her, he discovered Earle in bed. After giving her some time to get dressed, he discovered that Earle had overdosed on barbiturates in an effort to commit suicide. When she arrived at the hospital, her stomach was pumped. She was transported to the Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women in Wetumpka within a few days. Earle made a written confession to the killings there in front of the sheriff, Edwina Mitchell Relling, and the prison director. Earle was as cool as anyone could be throughout the 4 hours of interrogation, Holly told the media. Authorities uncovered Polly Ann's body, which was also covered by Earle, and discovered deadly amounts of arsenic. Lem Weldon's body was also discovered, but it appears that he passed away naturally. Earle was scheduled to stand trial on August 14, 1952, but the day before, she smuggled a razor blade into her cell and made another attempt to kill herself. After being stopped a second time, she apologized to the prison's matron staff. She apologized, saying, "I must have been out of my mind." The prosecution produced overwhelming proof that Earle committed the crime when the trial got underway the following day. She responded by acknowledging that she had access to arsenic, but claimed that she was using it to kill bugs. She was found guilty by the all-male jury, which also recommended execution. She was the first white woman to be sentenced to die in Alabama's electric chair, therefore, the punishment garnered widespread media attention. On September 4, 1953, 55-year-old Earle Dennison was electrocuted as proof that justice in the 1950s was fast. As she was fastened onto the yellow wooden chair, she exclaimed, "God has forgiven me for everything I have done. I sincerely apologize for what I did. I forgive everybody." In his remarks following the execution, Gaston Weldon displayed some magnanimity. "I have nothing but sympathy for Mrs. Dennison and her family, but I also have to keep in mind that my little girl was not treated with mercy by Mrs. Dennison." The family of Weldon eventually obtained $75,000 in wrongful death compensation from the insurers of the two girls. They claimed that the corporations ought to have been wary of Earle's intentions since she lacked an insurable interest in the kids. The defendants' actions placed the insured child in a zone of danger, with unreasonable harm to her, and that the defendants, in issuing the alleged illegal contracts, knew, or by the exercise of reasonable diligence should have known, that Mrs. Dennison had no insurable interest in the life of the insured, according to the Alabama Supreme Court, which upheld the verdict. As we have come to the end of this malicious case, this was nobody's aunt, let alone a good person of good character. As a nurse working in a hospital, you're supposed to treat your patients with kindness and nurse them back to good health by taking care of them. She was given access to medicines to assist the sick, not take them and use them to hurt little children. Earle was plain evil and used her greed to gain financial benefit, but it backfired. Thanks for watching. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe for more information on crimes.